I'm here today, I'm at Meadowlands Fishery, I'm on the Lambsdown Lake, and I'm here to talk to you about margin fishing in the spring. Now, margin fishing in the spring is a bit different to summer. In summer, I'm looking to feed in very shallow water and get the fish literally crawling up the bank for the hook bait. You know what I mean? It's middle of March now, it's cold, but it has warmed up a bit. The carp are on the move. I caught 4 big ones down the edge, just a couple of pegs up in the match on Sunday, so I know they're coming in. The only difference being I'm looking to catch them in 3 foot. The reason I'm looking in 3 foot, water's still a bit clear. As I said, we're just coming out of winter, so I wanted to feel that little bit more confident. There's 2 key parts to margin fishing for me, bait and rigs. Firstly, let's talk about bait. It doesn't really get any simpler. I've got ground bait, which to me is the most important part. Now, there's several things to look for in a margin mix. It's colour. You want it to be nice and visual. As you can see, it's a good yellow colour. Also, nice strong smell. This has got like a nutty sort of smell to it, so carp are going to smell it for a long way off and hopefully home in on it. Another couple of key things, weight. I want it to be nice and heavy, and straight away I can feel this is heavy in the hand. The reason I want it to be heavy is when them big carp are wafting about on it, I don't want it all piling up in the water and going off the bottom, because that's when you get line bites and foul lookers. So you want a mix that you're going to pot in and it's going to stay put. Lastly, I don't want too many fine particles. This has got a lot of food in it, a lot of big bits. Plenty for the fish to sort of get their heads down on. The problem with fine particles is the carp get preoccupied on them, and it can be very difficult to get them to take your hook bait because they're literally just filter feeding on the really fine ground bait. So that's the ground bait. Then all I've got is a couple of pints dead maggots. Just whacked them in the freezer. 2 pints of deads, mainly red with a few whites, just to give me a few different hook bait options. The reason I like dead maggots, they're inert, they stay on the bottom, and carp just love hoovering them up. So that's the 2 baits. What I'd look to do, what I've already done today, I've put in 5 big pots of ground bait just to kick the swim off, and then by the time we've done all the chit chat and everything, it'll have been sort of 45 minutes gone, and hopefully those carp will already be on the mix. So what I've put 3 big balls in, quite solid. Because of the depth, I'm fishing in sort of 3 foot, as I've already talked about. Carp want to be in that deeper water rather than coming right into the shallows. So get the ground bait down. Then I've put 2 big pots, half maggots, then just plugged it with ground bait at the top of the pot. So the maggots will get down, they'll flutter, cover a nice big area, so them carp have got an area to sort of grub about on. But then the ground bait will cloud a bit as it's sinking down onto the bottom, and hopefully it'll pull a couple of fish in straight away. Well, that's the theory. Let's try and put it into practice. I fed them 5 pots of ground bait at the start. Probably gave it 45 minutes. And we were into the afternoon anyway, it's sort of 1 o'clock. I've gone down there, I've had a goldfish, probably £3, then a rudd. I've had a couple of indications which made me think maybe there was a popper fish there. And I've just inched the float right against the platform, it's buried. And I'm pretty sure this is a carp. And it feels a decent one as well. Yeah, it's a big mirror. Nice looking fish. Nicely hooked in the mouth as well. That's a proper shuffler. There you go. Brilliant example of a proper margin fish. Probably 11, 12 pound. And that just shows why you don't need many fish to do a big weight when you're fishing down the edge. Let's pop him back and see if we can get a few more. Right, I had that early double. Lovely stunning fish, but the last couple of drops it's just been I've had a perch, a roach and a couple of other small nuisance fish, which is normally a sign A, that there isn't any carp there, or B, that a lot of the bait I put in initially is gone. So what I've done is I've just topped it up with 3 balls, 2 hard, 1 soft, and while I'm waiting for that to settle, I'm just going to talk you through my rig. Firstly, starting at the business end, red hydro, and we're nice and powerful, but still soft. It's not silly powerful that you pull in a fish's head off. It's soft enough to absorb that sort of initial run, but once you get the fish under control and down to a top kit, it gives you the power to get their heads up. Moving down, main line's 022 Guru Engage, nice and strong. As I said, we're fishing for big fish and my sort of setup reflects that. So that's my main line. Moving on to float, it's a 0.3 Mick Wilkinson margin, very strong float. A couple of key characteristics. Firstly, the strength, as I've just mentioned. Secondly, a nice big thick visible bristle. I'm leaving plenty of show on the float. When you get those big fish down there kicking about, and maybe knock it into the line, I want to be sure when that float goes under it's a bite and not a line bite. So leave plenty of show, big thick bristle, so when that float shoots under 100 mile an hour, I know it's fish on. As we go further down, shotting pattern, nice and simple. Seven number 10s, bottom shot 4 inches from the hook, and they're probably spaced at 3/4 inch intervals just above that. Nice and simple, but it does the job. I don't like putting lots of shot near the hook when I'm fishing for big carp in the edge, because that can encourage sort of line bites. So bottom shot 4 inches away, and then just work your way up. Hook length 4 inches of 019 Guru Engage again, and then hook choice, nice big strong wide gape Guru XS Spade. It's a perfect pattern for big baits. Today I'm fishing big bunches of maggots, well, anything from like 3 dead maggots up to as many as 10, just to see what the fish want on the day. But you want a big strong hook when you're fishing the margins, and this one fits the bill perfectly. One last, just before we move on, it is really windy today, so presentation's quite tricky. So if you'll notice, just above the float, I've got 3 number 9 back shots, just to give me a little bit more control, stop that line above the float blowing around in the wind, make presentation a little bit better, and hopefully result in a few more bites. So that's the tackle. Let's get some maggots back on the hook and see if we can get another. It's another nice fish. I don't think it's as big as that previous one, but I think it's 8 pound plus. Again, I'm just using the puller on the pole just to adjust the tension of the elastic, just so I can get control a bit easier. But when that fish wants to run, just let go of the elastic and let it do the work again. One thing I will say, when the water's that little bit cooler, they definitely seem to fight a lot harder. The minute the water's still a little on the clear side as well, which I think always gives them that little bit more. There's another mirror. There we go. A lot of people always ask me as well why I use a small landing net head for quite big fish. The reason is it just makes them easier to scoop. It's a lot quicker, and because the mesh is soft, it doesn't do the fish any harm either. So there you go, proof that you can catch big carp at this time of year in the margins. 2 fish for probably, I don't know, 25, 26 pound, and real weight builders in a match situation. Just goes to show, if you get everything right, firstly the depth, we're finding that sort of magic 2 to 3 foot, because the water's that little bit clearer. The right baits, as in ground bait and dead maggots, and as long as you're patient, you can catch fish like this. So why don't you get out and give it a go?